All right, guys, appreciate the opportunity again this morning. We did 3 hours yesterday. We've got the man section here and some blitz conversation in the second hour. I've been at CSU the 91-92 season. Coach Mack hired me in 93 at CU Boulder. Off the field, the only job he had was off the field. He gave me the opportunity to coach or to administrate. But I had the opportunity at that time. The secondary coach is a guy by the name of Brown, right? Our guy Brown. Forever. And he was popularizing, at that time, press man techniques. So I had a chance to really sit a year in his meetings, watch him. I'd coached almost 20 years, messed around a little bit with press man coverage, those kinds of things, but never had been clinked on it. And so it was good to sit and listen to him for a year. So when I started coaching, then he left, went to the Atlanta Falcons. I replaced him in 94, and we were still doing those things with Coach Hankowitz. So consequently, I've been kind of doing the press stuff for over 20 years and learned a lot. Every year I learned something more about it, but it's kind of how we go as far as press man. I've had trouble getting through this whole hour. There's a lot of stuff on here. There's techniques of safety technique in man coverage. There's man under too deep techniques. There's bracket techniques, a lot of stuff. I just haven't been able to get through the full hour. So we'll go as we move along here, see how far we get, and then we can go from there. But the starting point for us today is something about press man coverage. And the reason why I like it, for many years, I would coach, I was coaching lots of years before I started doing a lot of this stuff. And we'd be in a we'd been on one-on-one drill, working with the receivers, and we'd play off. And, if you're a really good coach, you sit there and you cue in on the quarterback, to make sure you can drive on a 3-step drop. And then, the ball gets snapped, your eyes would go to your receiver. And then you'd play man-to-man coverage and all the things that were with it. but the reality of it was in the intermediate, particularly the intermediate area routes, the out routes, the dig routes, the curl routes, it was, I can never really get my guy to accomplish it very, very much. It was like a 90% completion rate for a quarterback, a receiver throwing the ball, executing it well, because you were always behind the route, So if they execute it really well, you're always playing like this. And if you played over the shoulder, bottom line was I'd say, well, good job to my guy, but it's like, what are we really doing here? So what encouraged me with press man coverage was the notion that when receivers are spending all their life trying to create leverage and separation, that's what receivers do. Their coaches teach them they don't have leverage, they got to create it, but they're always trying to create separation. And we're lining up 8 yards off, already giving them free access. So that's why I've been kind of committed to this idea for a lot of years now. When I was at Florida, at one point I had kind of ran the whole show there. Never felt like I could teach both techniques, because you're on a Tuesday afternoon, you're getting some one-on-ones with your guys, you get 4 reps. It gets diluted. Felt like I could do one thing really well. We had a secondary coach there, though. I split time with a guy named Vance Befford, who had some time here in Colorado, and Vance was able to teach off technique and press. I just never felt I was good enough to get that done. I felt like if I could watch a tape and see what I was coaching in one or the other, then we were getting something done. So I went that way only because I liked the concept of no free access, challenging routes. The notion of press is even this. You can do everything wrong in press coverage on an intermediate route, for example. And obviously when you press up, you take away immediate access to hitches and things like that. But in the 12 to 14 yard range, 10 to 14 yard range, you can do everything wrong and be in the way of a route. I like that. I said I could do everything wrong and still create a problem for a receiver because I was in his way. He's got to work a little harder to get the separation. Maybe he had to create the leverage as well. And so I like that idea. You got to deal with the fact, well, maybe coach, can you run past you more quickly as a press guy? I can make an argument for that, but I got to tell you, I've gotten run by a lot of times off as well because my guy didn't play it well, didn't turn quickly enough. So if he's not very good, he's probably gonna get beat either way. But I do get the argument that if he's just tight, there's a chance that if he's lacking skill set that it could happen to you. So that's all conversation, but that gives you a little bit of background. So it takes away the immediate separation, which we talked about, between the defender and the receiver. Receiver's got to work hard to create the separation leverage. I think that's true. When you're playing off technique, all he really has to do, or what he does, it falls into the off techniques that we do actually teach our safeties. But all he has to do is if I'm outside leverage, he wants to run an inside route, he just lean sticks me into my leverage to create the separation. If he's trying to run outside, for example, and I'm in his way, then he's going to lean stick me here, try to get my hip lock, get across my face. I say all, but that's how receivers operate when you're playing some form of off technique. But when you're up there close to them, they've got to use their hands, they got to use their body, they got to get you out of the way, particularly if you're in the way. So I think they got to work hard. I do believe that's true. Disrupts the timing of routes. I believe that's true. If you're trying to run, and again, I think more. Just tell me, hey, coach, really, honestly, if you were to play press, why would you play press? I say because it really, like I said, it gets in the way of intermediate routes. That's really why I like it. The routes that, when you're playing off are just still pretty accessible. So when they're trying to work, and we'll talk a lot about that, they got to use their hands, they got to put their body on you, they got to. You just can't run static routes. A corner can't line up inside and a receiver runs into him. Okay, can't run outside and a receiver runs into it without something going on with a receiver that's been well coached, well taught. So, that's the notion of it. But when you're pressing, it disrupts the timing. Challenge the quick throw game because there's no separations. I mean, the only route you really have, you press a corner up there, the only routes you really have are slant routes, which are an issue, and just under routes. Other than that, what route do you have? I actually have a cut up. When we watch later, you'll see a team run a hitch into a press corner. That's not good football. I mean, it can happen, but it's not good ball. So you take away some things right away. In the spread game, okay, if you can press up on the bubble guy, that can discourage that. That's why man coverage against the spread teams is a good thing, particularly if you get up on the guy that's running the bubble piece, right? They like when you're off that type of stuff with your zone or man, that's where they have access. So it's good in that regard as well. It can discourage some stuff. And this part isn't as true as much as it used to be. Offenses don't work on it as much as off-man technique. I believe that's probably generally still true, but I think, because I think you guys, or a lot of you are into throwing the football. There's a lot of 7-on-7 camps. Go to camps, guys are always into it. Always want to walk up there and play press coverage because it's kind of cool. But now it's cool on Friday night when they boo you, when the guy runs by you, or on Saturday when they yell your name as well. Not as cool then. But I think guys do really good. If I watch anything even the last 10 years, people throw and catch a ball significantly better than they ever have because they're doing it, they're doing it. And so I think they're better at it, but I still believe that, it's, if you're going to play man coverage, has some advantages schematically, like spread offense. I think it does have an advantage for you, help some of the RPO game, but I still believe, they got to work hard at it. And so, more people are playing press. Press alignment split rules, we're in the splits. Splits, information, pre-snap. You're always looking for pre-snap information that can help you play more quickly. Defense is reaction, obviously, but if you can play with a level of anticipation, then you can play faster. If his split tells me something, there's a neon sign just flashing saying, there's a chance he's going to do X, maybe X and Y. It takes away the whole magnitude of all the things that can happen. So the more we can teach them about splits and to take advantage of those splits, the better it is for them. So on a normal split, so for my mindset, it's always been, I'm concerned about the deep ball. You'll get that drift in our progression here this morning. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about it as you are, But so we're going to manage that both with alignment and by how we teach technique, both of which could be arguable with any other secondary coaches, guys that will do it differently, but I'm concerned about that. So consequently, on a normal split receiver, whatever we define that to be, it'll be different for you because you have different landmarks, different hash marks, different numbers. We're going to go outside leverage. We're going to make this guy work to get to the outside fade route. He's going to have to stick me and then go, which will slow him down, okay, and might help me get him to do what I need to do when he's running the vertical throw. So we're not going to give him this route if it's normal split, though he might be running, inside or outside. So we're going to make sure we're going to take it away by leverage outside. Then our technique, because it's kind of an inch back technique, it's not a step and replace. Good coaches who are more aggressive will teach step, replace, get their hands on the guy probably better than what I do. End of the day, all that matters is this: when that guy decides to come out of square, when he decides to come out of that position, however you choose to do it, you better have your hip open, you better have your hand up on him, and you better be ready to run. Your hip better be open, you better be good, no matter how you do it initially. So, but from our standpoint, we're concerned about that piece of it. Normal split, outside leverage, going to funnel. We used to have a post safety many times, but not always. Might have a linebacker down there laying low, but we're trying to funnel it into our help. If he's oversplit, I call it a plus split. I mean, there's subtle splits where a guy might be trying to create a little real estate, might be a foot or two split where he's just trying to create a little bit more room for himself, maybe to run a fade, for example, or even a slant for that matter. But when they give you that information, they really oversplit you. I mean, the guy standing, I worked for a guy, Earl Bruce. Remember Earl Bruce? That's who I went to Colorado State with. Worked for him at Ohio State also. And Earl was a great high school coach. Loved high school coaches. And, and so the receiver would be split like way over here and, like 2 yards from the sideline. And in those days, you'd be playing like outside leverage. And Earl would say, I guess, coach, if he stood on the sideline, your guy would land up outside of him, right? Is that how it would be? Don't you need to adjust to that split? And Earl was right. So we're interested in a guy who's cutting down all that space, that when he might be 3 or 4 yards from the sideline, that kind of split. I mean, what's he going to do over here, right? Not a lot going on. Now, some people, our people, for example, they'll oversplit and run their whole throw game. But, you get some advantage. They're going to try to run a fade route or a go route. Your sideline can come into play for you. That's a big piece of it for you. So they give up something to do that. But a lot of people will give you information. So if they go oversplit, and we talk about a thing called 90%. There's 90% possibility, but given our game plan, given our awareness, that this is going to happen, then you need to use it to your advantage. There's 10% can always happen. He can make that big oversplit and go vertical, even from teams that use oversplit information. But if he's oversplit and it's 9% chance he's going to run a slant, it would make sense you get yourself inside. It would make a lot of sense to get back inside, right? And then if you made that decision, make sure that you maintain inside leverage, which I don't think do a great job, to be honest with you. And then if they're significantly undersplit, I mean that split that goes 5 or 6 yards outside a tackle, now he's not cutting that split typically to run out routes, though it could happen. That's not a split for fades. That's a split to run crack blocks, under routes, over routes. And so we a lot of times get off that split with anticipation. Like we're sitting there ready to play. Come on, man, you're going 9% chance you're going to do something inside. I'm getting ready to go play. You're not backing up. You're not late reacting to it. You're using the information that they're giving you. So when you're playing a lot of man coverage, it's not too complicated. I'm saying when we're playing 50% man coverage, it's not real complicated. Getting line and say you got to cover Billy Joe and you got to cover Mike and you got to cover Joe. That's not complicated. The art form is in the technique. The art is in the technique of what you're teaching. That's where the hard part is. All the progressions and all the things that happen, them trying to understand what's going on and being able to master their craft as a technician is really the challenge, which is fun in coaching because if you see it on tape, then it's a really good moment, right? When you see your stuff on tape, right? So we talk a lot about splits. We're talking about press coverage here, right? About splits. And then we talk about our stance. We're going to shoulder width, and we're going to chin down over our toe, and we're going to get in a football position, which is our knees and our ankles and our hips all flexed. Weight on the balls of the feet, hands up, ready to go play, and that position. That's our pre-snap stance alignment. Feet we're sort of width, knees bent, hands up, shoulder the toe. I should read weight on the balls of the feet and eyes on the belt. So that's our that's our alignment for the ball gets snapped. Okay, as far as press is concerned. So our technique is an inch back. It just delays the confrontation. All we're doing is we're kind of buzzing our feet, and the risk of that, the downside of that, sometimes our guys get too loose. They kind of got like a mini back pedal. You really don't want a mini back pedal. You just want them not to do this, squat their feet, okay, and where you might get a hip lock. In the day, like I said, no matter what technique you teach initially, whether you're a little bit of a delayed confrontation or you're a step and replace guy, a little more aggressive, end of the day, when that receiver comes out of that position, you got to be in this position. You got to have your hip open. You got to get the hand out of the way of whatever side he's releasing, because if the hand is connected to the hip. So if you try to punch this hand and press technique and he's releasing in there, it will naturally lock your hip. And then you can't do it. You can't run. If you can't run, then you got problems catching up. So that's the notion of that. We're going to inch back. It's just a little, like a 1-2, just inch back, hand off hand jam away from kind of square. But we tend to get a little soft sometimes. And I didn't really update our tape as much this year as I have in the past. So there's some, you see a little bit of that from the older clips, okay? We say square. That's an old Greg Brown notion, stay square until he declares. Anybody remember Greg Brown? Well, he was back in Colorado, right? At one point, he's been back to this parts all the time. I see him about every year at one of these Glazier clinics. But stay square until he declares. What you're saying here is, listen, I don't know where you're going to go, but at some point, you're going to come out of square. You step on my toes for a while, I presume. At some point, though, you're going to go left, you can go right. When that happens, then I got to get in transition. Defensive back play is hugely about transitions. Whether you're playing off and you're you're teaching plant and drive, or you're teaching hot feet. Same way in press, it's transitions. Transitions involve you moving from one kind of body direction to the other one. So when you're in transition and press, you are getting ready to go run because the guy released on you, okay? And so the fundamentals of transitions are all the same. You got to have a plant foot and a drive foot. Doesn't matter if you're back off playing this, so you plant and drive, that's all good. Your hot feet, not as much plant and drive, basically good, okay? But when you're playing this stuff, you got to be able to plant and get that foot in the ground. Got to get the cleats in the ground. It's no different than an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle trying to play ball. You can't play football with your cleats up in the air. You got to get them in the ground. I do a better job of coaching that as a point of emphasis than I did for many years. Again, I keep learning every year about better language. Coaching is so much about language. Clean, precise, to the point, catchy kinds of things that communicates a real notion to kids. And so every year I'm trying to find better language to say things. But basically, cleats got to get in the ground. And to me, it's not an overly aggressive stab and trying to disrupt the guy. We play two-man, or we play a front and back bracket where we got help on top. We'll at times be very aggressive in receiver. It doesn't matter now. He locks us out, that's fine. We're going to trail because I got a buddy on top helping me. When you have nobody on top, that's the one route that you got to be able to handle, okay? Safety might show up eventually, but basically you got to handle that problem, okay? So you got to make sure. So we're just trying to steer. So when that guy comes out square and that hand goes up on his chest, we're just steering him right here. Now he might come back inside. If he does, then because I'm in press, if I have a hand on him and he turns me, because a lot of times even here, if he does a good job, he sticks me, he opens me, he comes back inside, and I got the other hand on him, and I can counter him, get my back open, and go play. Because you're in press, you have the possibility of having your hands on him, which ideally is what you like to do because you're in press. But if you can get too loose, which we do sometimes, that happens. What's the way we always react as a defensive back? If a guy turns you the wrong way, you got to do it. Flip turn, speed turn. We do that. We have to teach that. Ideally in press, you should be able to have a hand up on him, so if he counters you back, you can counter back. That's one of the advantages of press coverage, okay? We're stabbing, cleats in the ground, transition. No air. No air. Cleats got to get in the ground. So got to get in the ground. I got to be able to drive. That foot's up in the air. That foot's up in the air, and that receiver's running. I can't run. I can't drive. And every step is really critical when you're playing in such tight quarters, right? You got to be able to run. And there's no question this guy going this way can go faster than I can when I'm in a manner of transition. Okay. Make him run the hump. That's the key. Something else I coach better now. Again, I've been coaching this stuff for over 20 years, right? Coach it better now. Coach it better now. The notion that when you come in transition, you get this foot, there's really three places this foot can go. You come out of transition, it can go straight behind you. If you do that, you just open up the gate, right? He rips through you, he stacks you on a vertical route, and you're already in trail, which is a problem, right? You cannot open that hip. You can be here, and now when he releases, you're stuck, your hip's locked, right? And now again he stacks you. And the way you want to be is to get this foot in the ground at 45 and make this guy run around you to slow down the vertical, in the case of a vertical route, that you might be running. So you want to run the hump. You want to be able to run this right here, run the hump, here like this, then drop the hand, and then run. Anytime he's vertically releasing you in press coverage, somehow, you just open, because that guys want to play press up there and they want to turn and run, It's not great. They're in a foot race with a guy who's already got a head start on you. So the key coaching point is in transition, and inch and back off, you'll see it on tape here, offhand stab on the chest, foot in the ground, so I can drive off that foot, hip open, so I can run in particular on a vertical release route, which is, again, always a starting point for me. And any vertical release, play deep to short. So you can see the constant concern I have about the vertical route, right? Everything from the outside leverage on a normal split to kind of a slightly delayed, not being overly aggressive at the line of scrimmage. And thirdly, that when if the route goes vertical, that means past 5 yards. Once that route releases past 5, what I call the release zone area, and goes vertical, I'm playing vertical route. That means, I'm running to get in transit. I'm trying to run, get in phase. First started coaching this stuff when Greg used to talk about it. Greg would talk about, you want to cut him off. You want to get on top of that route, become the receiver. This is where you want to get on top. But then people got good throwing what ball? Back shoulder fade, right? Really on all levels. I see that ball being thrown, again, a result of a lot of people throwing the football today when before they didn't. So if you play up here at back shoulder fade, you got no shot. So you had to, now we teach in phase, trying to get in this position right here. And then we got to be able to read the receivers. We'll talk more about that in a second. His eyes on the ball determine whether it's an over top throw or whether it's a back shoulder throw. We got to transition in both those situations, okay? So we're going deep until the receiver tells us something else. And that's the gist of the deep ball, okay? So this is a release drill. This is a drill. This is with receivers. Okay, this is pretty good technique right here. So let's take a look at this right here. This is coming from the sideline. So this guy is just kind of studying. He's not come out square yet. We don't know where he is right now. Then he goes, my guy offhand jams, and see how he makes this guy run around him? See it right there? That's what you want. Make him run around you. Now you get back yourself, and now you're back in phase, you're ready to go. But the common tendency, we'll see, I got some bad technique here also. The common tendency is for that foot. It's critical. This foot, this becomes your drive foot. This is your drive foot. This is the foot that's in the ground that you're going to drive over so you can go run. You know, if this foot's anywhere but where you want to go, you have issues. You know, we talked about the different thing. And hands up, he goes, and so now we're running on the. So here we go, right here. Yes. Belt down low on the waist, yeah, on the belt, yeah. He's going to give him a lot of head and shoulder, like what this guy's doing right here. In the day, though, and here's what I say. Here's the perfect, I put him in this situation. It's not on the drill work here today. I put him in this position all the time. I said, listen, this is where you want to be. This is the catbird seat. You got to get, in transition, you got to get here. You got to get here. And I'll just run him and drive him off that foot. Get in this position right here. It's all said and done. That hand, this foot have to be tied together. Okay? Foot's in the ground, hands up, now we're playing. But anything, foot's not there, the hand's not up, you're too loose, you know, all those things can possibly happen. Again, guys just kind of stepping over his inches. There it goes. Good. Right hip, foot's in the ground. The foot is not behind him. The foot's not up in the air. The foot is in the ground. Therefore, he can drive on it and run with this guy and get himself in phase. So he's in phase right here. That's where you want to be on a vertical route. Okay, foot's in the ground, hands up. You know, we talk, trying to do a better job of teaching pad level in transition, you know, not standing straight up, staying down, chin over your toe, good football position. I'm trying to do a better job of coaching that because some of my guys pop up, it seems a lot. But these are the good ones right here. Okay, again, see where this receiver goes? He's not beating you vertical if you can make him go like that. Again, we're not trying to it's not about the stab, so to speak, or the jam. Okay, we're just getting our hand on the chest because we want to be able to counter him if he decides to come back inside. But we are making him run around us, you know, because of, you know, the foot's in the ground. And I coached a lot of years and didn't do a great job coaching that idea. You know, it's funny, right? I do all this stuff all these years, and I heard some guy talk about it. I said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. What have you been doing, you know? And a lot of times I watch my tape. Every year I didn't update my tape because we stunk this year. You guys remember me? We stunk this year. Top 10 defense 3 years in a row, great defense, we stunk. So I didn't use any of that bad video this year, okay? Usually I update a little bit. Makes you work a little harder. Okay, so again, right idea, getting his foot in the ground, foot to the ground, hips a little bit closed, but he's good. He's good. This guy's running around him, and guess where he is? In face, which is where you want to be. Again, good job here. I like how you're staying down as well. You're staying down, good, make the guy run around him. So that's this drill right here. So that's what we're doing right here. There's a couple counters here I want to get to here, which shows you the benefit of having your hand up on him. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's what happens here, right? He's in square. He comes out of square, right? He sticks me. So again, the receivers, it could be a situation where, it's the same deal. He's trying to run an inside route, and the guy's a little bit in his way. So he's trying to get the guy in this position, locked his hip. He knows he wants to go here. He got the DB because you got to respect the move. You can't sit there and you don't have the crystal ball to know. You got to be able to react to it. He turns the DB, but because of press, he has a hand up on him. And on press now, he can counter it and get back to it and should remain pretty tight on the inside breaking route. Okay, that's what's happening here. He's countering. Hips got to get back in the ground. Counters back. Right idea. Okay, right idea, and he's back in good in-phase position. Hand up, foot's in the ground. This is great. This is really good. This is really a good rep right here. Hands up, right? I said, right, the hand and foot are tied together, right? Comes back inside, he counters. Okay, maybe gets his foot a little bit too far behind him, a little bit, right? So it might give him a little bit of a vertical, but there's a lot of work going there. There's a lot of work by the receiver to get himself in position to win. To win. Again, here's another counter. Hand up. Guy gets him. He counters back. Good counter. So we're inching back. Okay. He sticks him outside, gets a hand up on it, gets his hips back to counter. Okay. So those are good ones. Okay. Those are good ones. Let's go some bad technique. Stepping in a bucket. Okay. So this is receiver. Again, this is a little bit stepping in a bucket. It's a little bit stabbing with the wrong hand, but it's everything bad in this rep. Everything's bad in this rep. You know, the guy just knocks him off. Foot goes behind him. Now he's got a lot of what right here? Air. That's the death of any man coverage. When I'm evaluating man coverage, we'll see some of these game clips. That's what I do. I stop the projector when quarterback's ready to throw a football, and I say, okay, what do we got here? We got any space? Okay. And if there's space, I better see the space closing, the air coming out of it when the ball's thrown. Because the receiver's always trying to create separation, right? You're always trying to go get the separation. So he created it simply because of poor technique. Is everything bad right there? All see that right there? Plus now the receiver can go vertical. And guess, where's he end up on the guy? Underneath him, right? Ends up in trail. If you have no help on top, you don't want to be in trail. Okay, again, see the left foot? Goes behind him, right? Let's go wide angle. See this guy rip through this guy. Watch this guy go vertical real fast here. See that? So then the receiver, because the guy opens the gate, ducks his shoulder, rips, stacks him. She was trying to stack that corner so he can get on top of him in the case of a vertical route, right? So that happened really as a result of poor technique because of where this guy put his back foot. Put the foot behind him, created separation. So now you got a vertical problem. Now, where are you, this guy? Behind him. You're behind him. Again, pretty vertical. You're going to get guys running underneath guys now. Watch that left foot. See how left foot goes? All bad, right? Create separation, all right? What's that? Left, in this case, left foot, right? It's wherever he releases, right? You're trying to get your hip open, hand up, get the hip open, get that foot in the drive so you can go run. This foot right here. So this ball, again, goes behind him. So now you got a lot of air. And plus, he's wearing a guy underneath him. Underneath him. Okay, second thing that happens to you is a locked hip. You decide to punch to the side he's releasing you on. Okay, right there, right? See that right there? That's a problem. Because now your hip locked, right? And now he runs and let's go wide angle here. You can see this guy get vertical so quickly on him. Right? So he gets on top of it right now. It's a vertical release, right? And now you're chasing, you're in a foot race. You don't want to, can't be a totally foot race game. That happens when you don't get your hip open, you don't get, get that foot in transition. And it happens here because you lock your hip. The hip gets locked here. Offhand. Offhand. See where this guy goes here. Okay, he goes there. He should be sticking with the left hand. Okay, get the right hip open. So again, you see it right here from the end zone. See right there? All bad right there. You're in trouble. Bad news. Well, the hip, not getting this hip. He's got to start with the hip. When this guy goes here, he's got to get that hip out of the way. Got to get the hip open, get the hand off. Got to get the hip open though. But if you're punching with this hand, in this case, he's releasing that side. They're basically tied together, and so you're going to have issues with the issues we're looking at right here, okay? And the third thing that happens to you is you get too much air time with the cleats in the ground, or off the ground. So you got a guy here, he's going to get a foot up in the air. If the foot's up in the air, can't transition, right? Can't run. And plus what happens too, a lot of times, when you have no base, that's when if they're being physical with you, they knock you off. The foot's up in the air, they kind of knock you off and create even more issues. But it's all a result of too much air in that cleat right there. Got to get cleats in the ground. Cleats in the ground. Okay. Right there. Big step. See that big step? Get that big step out of it, okay? All right, so that's the basic technique. Offhand jam, we inch back, offhand jam. It's all about him coming out of his position. You get an offhand, getting your hip open so you can run with him. If he counters you, if he goes back inside or outside, you got another hand on him, okay? We break it down into really 3 conversations. Okay? Release routes. Your press corner, so what's available to him? Well, slants are available to him. We're looking for information on a slant. What information are you talking about, Coach? Talking about a team that might be an oversplit team on slants. If that happens, we try to use it by then moving inside. That's a problem route, but the under 5-yard routes, many times, they give you information, both the under route and the slant route. And so you can use that, hopefully if you can see it, and then use the technique to your advantage. So that's the release route area. Those routes are, they're 9%, as I mentioned, 9% rule. We anticipate something happening. So slant routes have, on release area, inside the slant, win inside rule, be patient. Patient means if I'm using the information and I'm inside because we game planned it that he's going to be a slant guy, then what must he do to get inside? He's got to stick me here to get me here. So be patient. When he sticks you, be more patient. We're not good enough at that, to be honest with you. We don't win enough inside when we go inside. You go under split routes, that's where we get, again, 9%. We're looking for the 9% conversation. Here it's slant game, basically. Here it might be under, over, or crack. And so you'll see we get off that split sometimes. Sometimes get off that split, playing the anticipation of the inside route. So here's slants. Okay. This is he's outside the numbers for us. This guy's definitely east of Egypt, so he's an oversplit guy. This guy here's oversplit. My guy looks like he's inside, a little loose. But here's what I say. If you have a hand, how I judge too loose, and you can certainly see it when you see it, but I say if I got a hand on him in transition, then that's where you want to be. If I don't have a hand up on him, I'm too loose. And so even though this core's a little loose in the initial technique, he has a hand on him. So now he counters. Okay? So now he counters. So he counters it. He's pretty tight on that route. Guy up top is just trying to put his body on the guy up top. He just slants right here. Watch this guy right here. Tell me you see what happens right here. Watch this guy. Right here. He plays NFL right now, this guy. What's he do right there? He tried to punch to the side of the release. Locked his hip, got on top of him right now. Now he's chasing. This guy's too loose, yes, but the receiver didn't do a great job of what? Moving him, right? So my guy's, even though he's too, why is he too loose, Coach? Because he doesn't have a hand up in transition. So he's too loose in his technique. Yes, I would agree with you. That being said, he still closes the slant and is able to make a play on the slant. Yes. Yes. It's a good question. There you go. That's the answer. Guy on the ball, 1 yard off the guy off the ball. Don't get too tight. If a guy's on the ball, ex-receiver, 1 yard off the ex-receiver on the ball. Don't get too tight. I don't want to get up there too tight. Not good. 1 yard. If he's off the ball, take all you can take without being offside. That's exactly what you said. I don't control how deep he lines up as a Z receiver, right? Or a slot receiver. So that's a good question. I didn't cover it. But yeah, he's Z, but take all you can take without being offside. So it creates a natural separation, except again, I should slow down. I don't need to really go anywhere until I find out what he's doing, right? So he's too loose, but again, does a good job of closing on it. So again, I stop the projector. That's a pretty good position on a slant. Okay, now if he's inside the slant, which looks like he is, then we'd like to be a little bit even heavier on it. But that's not terrible. That's not terrible right there. This up here is a bad rep, right? My friend's in trouble right here. He's in trouble. He needs to call in the reserves. Okay, pretty normal split right here. It's a little bottom of numbers. We say anything on the numbers for us is a normal split, game plan wise. But again, got a hand up on the guy. He counters it, right? Got a hand up. He counters on the stick outside, and he's pretty tight to the slant. Again, he's able to make a play on the slant because he's tight on it. So again, you start to project, ball's thrown. He's pretty tight, right? That's where you want to be on it. Got a hand up on it. Receiver doesn't do a great job of really turning him. So he's got a hand up, 1-2 counter. He's tight on the slant, which is where you want to be. Down here's an example. The receiver does a very poor job. He never at any point does he actually get this kid. So he knows he's going to run inside route. He knows that. The split is not a huge oversplit. Well, this is my guy. I'm sure my guy's playing inside behind me. Maybe. Can't really tell. But he doesn't do a good job of doing what to the corner. He doesn't do what? He never turns him, right? So my guy, he runs a static release route, which sometimes receivers do. So my guy's able just to stick on it, never turns him. He's really tight on the route. It's a good rep. This guy's getting rubbed off here. Okay, so it's a good rep. We're a better technician than the receiver. Make the receivers, coaches probably tell us, you can't run that route. You got to turn this guy, get him to lock that hip to have any chance, or the guy's going to cover you, which is what happens right here. But you want to be the better, you definitely want to be the better technique player. So on slant, we're trying to use the split. We're trying to have a hand up on the guy. So if he does stick us one way, or say outside, we can counter him back. Okay, so we can stay tight on the slant route. Trying to use the information accordingly, okay? Here, these are undersplit guys. Here's a guy like, this is that really big undersplit. So my guy's expecting this guy either crack block, to run an under route, or to run an over route. That's what he's expecting. It's a 90% pre-snap indicator. He moves off of it, he should be ready to go play. Don't step off, don't back up. You're ready to go down to it. Get past all the garbage. Okay, there's no garbage here. So right here, you see some air. What should happen here is that air should come out right now. So you see tight coverage here, pretty tight. Everybody else is pretty tight in their coverage. What you see here when the ball is thrown, you see that air coming out of the air, separation. Now, when they put their eyes back at the quarterback on breaking points, that's when they don't do that. They have a breaking point and their eyes go back to on the quarterback. Instead of putting their foot in the ground and driving and getting the space that's there, they don't. They put their eyes back on the quarterback. So this is all a pretty good rep because you see people closing the air. Again, major undersplit right here. I'm probably yelling at him right there to be alert to it. He gets off of it. He's a little bit inside. He's ready for it. He plays off of it. If he pressed this is a drive route concept, he might have got rubbed off by that tight end if he pressed it right there, right? So he does the right thing. He sees it, gets off of it. Now again, you got air right here. Okay, again, you got guys here pretty tight in coverage. He's got air, but now he's driving down on the front shoulder. Does a good job. That ball gets completed, a 3-4 yard gain, which is not bad given the situation, as long as it's not 3rd and 4. So he's using, the point is he's using the information. He's got an undersplit. Coaching point here, we don't always go off of it, but here we are. Here's a third one right here. So again, big undersplit. He's telling you something. Is he going to run a fade from there? Probably not. Is he going to run an out route from there? Maybe, but many times not. He's going to do kind of what he's doing right here. Again, does a good job of not stepping off. Okay, runs out of the garbage right there. Again, he's got some space right here. Again, good tight coverage here, right? Now go get it. Drive down to it. So that's the case of the undersplit receiver. The third one are the intermediate routes. Again, you told me, hey, coach, why you like press? I like press because it gets in the way of these routes. That's why I like it. Whereas in off-man coverage, I was always playing from behind, driving to try to get a curl, trying to drive on a dig, trying to drive on a stop route. All good, but always behind the receiver. If the ball was well thrown and timed, the best I could do was usually tackle it. It was poor. It was thrown late. I could come over the top, but naturally guys want to hook their arm, and that half the time that was a PI. I just never felt like much was getting done there. So I like it because of these concept routes. Outs, digs, time post, curls, post. Here the receiver must create separation and leverage. Look for receiver indicators. That guy releases for 10. He's going vertical. I'm playing what? Go route. But in this zone, the receiver's telling me it's not vertical because it's simple as you'll see here in a second. Say this is the receiver, and I'm the DB, and the receiver wants to go over here. Well, he doesn't have what? Leverage, nor does he have separation. He's got to go. So the way he creates that is by putting his hands on me. So I'm running. So he puts his hands on me. That's telling me it's not deep anymore. You need to transition. Let's say the receiver wants to run inside. I'm here on him. He wants to go there. Does he have separation? No. Does he have leverage? Yes. So now his thing is going to put his body on me, try to push off to create separation. So I'm going to use, I mentioned this yesterday with all of you, good coaching is when you understand what people are trying to do and you use their information against them. When you know that's what they're doing, then you use that information. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to use this information. So we're just teaching right here, the receiver. So intermediate routes, throw by, push off, grab tight. So here's the, this is the receiver. It's a DB. So in reality, this route's 10 yards deep. This route's 14 yards deep. It's a vertical release. My guy's in phase, running. But now he puts his shoulder, elbow to push off the guy. Because he's trying to get what right here? He has leverage. If he runs a static route, my guy might cover it. He does nothing to create separation. So we know this, and so we're using it. As soon as he pushes off, we grab. Now, you got to let loose. To me, the hand lingers too long. In tight quarters, because the receiver's pushing off, he's doing his stuff, it's tight quarters. They don't call that in tight quarters. They call it when it begins to separate, and they see this. The official will be like he put his hand on the flag, and then you let loose. A lot of times you get that call. But there are some days officials call things really tight. When that happens, it's not as easy for you, okay? But we just can't let the receiver we can't let the receiver push off of us. Well, coach, he pushed off me. Yes, indeed he will. He will again. They don't call that. Get off that. You got to have a counterterrorism technique, which is to grab. Because they won't call it. So again, this is the other way here. It's all tight right here, really tight. We're trying to grab something to now get off and get. See again, to me, the hand stays on. That's not the point. Use the hand. I said it's like putting a hand on your mom's hot stove. You put the hand on the stove, get it off. Use it, get it off. Don't leave it lingering, because that's when they'll call you. It'll be lazy hands, as I call it. So these are examples here of leverage. So the guy pushes, he grabs. It's pretty good. See how quick he gets the hand off right here? Right there. A lot of air, a little bit too much vision for the official, but he gets the hand off. That's good. Okay, the next one is when the guy doesn't have leverage. This is a DB. He's trying to run an inside route. I don't know that. He's trying to run an inside route. So now he tries to throw me by. That's why for us, once it clears transition, we're not trying to get our hands on the guy. Once it clears here, we're running. And now, because if I'm trying to do all that business, I can't get the information. I need to get the information from the receiver. As far as I'm concerned, he's running deep. But now he isn't. So now he tries to throw me by. He tries to put his hand on the small of my back, get me out, throw me by, get me out of the way, so he run back inside. It's a throw by. And so we try to grab low, almost letting him throw us to the route. So that's what's happening here. As soon as I feel this right here, our hand goes down. Now get it off. Pretty good. See how quickly he gets it off? Good job. He's trying to throw me past where he wants to go. Throw by. So these are all, remember what kind of man coverage you're playing, fellas, off or whatever. You're always dealing with leverage and separation, how they're trying to create, what they're trying to do. Here, because we're in a way, they're using a throw by. Okay. So here they don't have either one. Here we go, game tape. Up here comes the release. Again, guys got their hands on these receivers. That's pretty good. Down here, so the receiver stops. You can't really see him, but he's trying to throw this guy by. And my guy sees it. Is it deep? Is it a deep ball? No. Either by the fact that he's breaking down, by the fact he's putting his hand on him, my guy can break down with him and not allow the other air and separate. So when he stops this right here, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Got a little air right here. This route here could have been completed. Tight. Same thing here. Here we go. So there's a hand up. That's good, right? We say if you got a hand up, it's good technique, right? Both guys got a hand up. He counters. That's good, right? This guy's got a hand up. That's good. Now we run. Now he tries to throw me by. My guy is in there digging. My guy's in there digging, not letting this guy throw him by. And so he does a great job. And here's what you saw would be a coverage sack because, they're tight on the route right here. You can't get the ball out, and it's a 3-second throw, and because we don't allow separation. Okay. Like I said, we don't get through much. Okay, here's again. Here's a inside breaking route. Okay, again, he's tight on it right here. Okay, he's leaning on him. When he feels him lean on it, he's going to He's going to try to not allow. Anytime there's not separation, it's bad for the receiver and it's good for the DB. No air. No air. A receiver, I would think, was going this right here. So however my guy got it done, in the day at the point of the ball, there's no air on an inside breaking route. That's what you're looking for. This is bad ball in my mind. This guy runs, I say, don't run a hitch into a press corner. This team does, right? This is Purdue running a hitch into, not great. I mean, it shouldn't be great. The guy's right on here, right? But again, if this guy's going to have any chance, he should throw the guy by. See, this guy's trying to throw by right here. See his right hand right here? Trying to throw by. This is good. This is what I evaluate all the time. That's what I'm looking for. So the receiver throws me by. There's a little bit of air right here. Do I look back and do nothing with this, or do I put my foot in the ground and just drive on my coverage, my eye discipline, right? It's a good job here by both guys. You kind of see it here, right here. You kind of see it. It's a good job, right? But a lot of times guys will stop right there, put their eyes back here, instead of doing what? Go run to get on his toes. It's a good rep. It's a good rep. Not a great concept throwing a ball, I would think, into a press corner. Okay, again, my guy's here. Guy's trying to push off a little bit. My guy sees it. That hand's a little high. That hand I'd be on certain Saturdays, that's called. There's some Saturdays you will not get this call because his hand's too high, and he gets it off, which is good. But again, there's no what? Receiver needed to do what right here? Create separation. He didn't do it. On what? A 10-yard route, right? A 10-yard stop route. No separation. Well, that's not a good route. If you don't create separation, you got no shot. Get up top. Again, my guy's a little loose. Why is he loose, coach? Because there's no hand up on the guy. But again, there's no separation. So my guy sits on the route. Okay. We need to get to the. This is Sassen right here down here. Does a good job. Here's on a deep comeback route. Okay, so the guy's trying to throw him by. My guy's fighting. My guy's digging in there now. He's digging in there. There's no separation. It's all good. We need to get to the deep ball right here. Okay. So now the deep ball is all about trying to get yourself in phase and trying to find out what kind of throw it is. If you're in phase, it's either an over-the-top throw or it's a back shoulder fade. You got to see which one it is. You can't be running here when it's back shoulder fade. Okay, and so our trigger really is the receiver and his eyes to what we do. So we got in phase, over-top throw, we lean and look. In phase, back shoulder, we throw chest to chest, eyes up, punch through. Out of phase, we're in trail. We let the hands trigger us. Post route, we run on top, outside shoulder of all post routes. So that's what we're doing right here. This is a deep route. This is an over-top throw. So what we're doing here, I'm running, got him in kind of down the route. The route's down the field a little bit. My guy's running hip to hip. He's letting those, he's triggering, he's going to keep leaning. He's letting the eyes right here is telling what is going on here. Lean and look. Lean and look. Don't look back. Lean and look up. Keep leaning, no air. Keep running. Keep leaning, keep looking. Okay? Don't look back because there'll be separation. So what happened here was he got in phase. It's a deep ball. He's trying to figure out what kind of throw it is. The receiver now is looking. He's running the receiver. Eyes are looking. He's running. So he's doing. He's leaning. He's not looking back because if he looks back, he'll stop running, and the ball gets thrown on the top of it. So that's what's happening here. That's what we're teaching right here. Lean and look. Lean and look. Okay? Let's go back shoulder fade now. In phase. Oh, this is in phase. Lean and look. Guy's too loose here, right? He's too loose right here, right? No hand up. He's running. Okay? He's in phase. Keep running. Keep running. It's not a back shoulder fade. Could be. It's not. The receivers tell him it isn't. He needs to keep running. Again, perfect throw, perfect catch. That's going to happen. Okay? But make him make that throw catch. My guy's got pretty good position on it. Okay? It makes it a tough throw to be thrown and caught. But it's good position on the over-the-top throw. My guy's way too loose. This guy's the fastest guy. Guy plays the Cardinals now. My guy plays for the Redskins or Jets. He's too loose, yes. But let's watch this. But I want to watch this at the top of this route here. So he's in great shape. He's in phase here, right? The receiver pushes him. Guess what? They let him do that. That's a problem. But my guy's in great shape right here. He's running. He's leaning, looking. Great shape. The guy pushes him and then doesn't get his hands back. But the point is, it's an over-top throw. He's leaning, he's looking. Okay, not looking so much there, looking late. Okay, Okay, a little double move down here. Again, too loose, right? Too loose for what we talk about. Double move, okay? But again, he's in phase, okay? And reads it as an over-top throw and ends up actually becoming more the receiver than the receiver in that situation. Okay, back shoulder throw. Now we're in the same position. But for whatever reason, they decide to go back shoulder. Now we got to go chest to chest, eyes up, okay, on the back shoulder. And so that's what we're teaching right here. Back shoulder, fade, chest to chest. What tells me that? The receiver tells me that. I don't know. In fact, the receiver doesn't even know. They might game plan in a certain way, but generally speaking, the receiver and the quarterback, the receiver reacts to the quarterback's throw. That throw. So he's going, and he sees the back shoulder fade, then he comes in transition. We got to see transition. I got to be running. I see this guy now slowing down, going to back shoulder fade. I got to be able to transition with him. I can't keep running on a lean look when it's really back shoulder fade. The receiver's going to tell me that. So we're hip to chest to chest here. Chest to check, back shoulder. That's what I'm trying to get done right here. Okay, again, too loose down here. This was some earlier tape, but too loose. But at the end of this rep, you see the part that you need to see. Okay, so he's there. The receiver starts to transition. He transitions. He goes chest to chest, gets the eyes up. In both instances, you're trying to play with your eyes. You know, the only time you shouldn't, that we don't teach them to play with their eyes when they get in trail. When you get in trail, it's a bad deal anyway. We don't teach playing with your eyes now, but over top throw, we play with our eyes. Back shoulder fade, we play with our eyes, because we all know that's a problem. They call it every time you get caught with your back to the ball. But again, chest to chest does a good job right here. Down here, kind of cuts the throw off. Again, same idea. Okay. Guy starts to transition. He transitions chest to chest because the receiver gives him the information that he needs. Again, the quarterback and receiver don't get on the same page here, but my guy, again, turns into it. He feels the guy starting to transition. My guy turns into it. Again, I'm talking about that notion about, so I stopped the projector right there, right? There's no air anywhere. That's a good rep, right? There's no air. This ball is being thrown. There's no separation anywhere. That's good man coverage. That's why you're in man coverage, right? Is to try to be tight, right? Try to be tight. And then out of phase. Now we're out of phase. This is the last part. We'll break here. Now we just play the hands. We're in trouble. Got to save the women and the children now. We're in trouble. So now the hands go up. The hands trigger me. Whereas his eyes and hat, helmet, trigger me on the deep throw otherwise. Here, his hands trigger. All I got right now are his hands. I got nothing else to play with. Last thing we do here. Go down here. This guy right here is in major trouble. Major trouble. So I say, got to find a way to save the day. So he's in trouble. He's in trail. Run. His hands go right there. Trigger the hands. Get the ball out. Save the day. He saved the day because he's played through the hands. Let's go inside guy here on the slot. Same idea. He's in trouble. He's running. He's in trouble. Play the hands. The hands go, you get. As soon as his hands go, you're through his hands. That's all you got. He underthrows the ball. It's a pass interference. But when the receiver's on top of the DB, usually he's trying to throw the ball, on top of it, except it's not bad ball when you make that guy jump back into it. You shouldn't be in trail, but you are. That's the problem. You're in trail. That's the problem. Okay, we won't get to this because we're out of time, but this is an example of what we teach an off technique. He's an off technique player, his safety. So this receiver wants to run an outside route. What's he going to do? He's going to stick inside, is he not? My guy should slide opposite the stick. That's what he does. Can't really see it here. He sticks there. You slide outside. Again, he's in trouble. There's the hands. Play the hands. We got a lot of other man stuff we weren't able to get to, unfortunately, but that's all clinical and man press coverage. A lot of technique there, but it's fun because it's technique oriented. That's why line coaches enjoy coaching line, because it's all ball. It's technique, Secondary play, teaching press technique is technique coaching. And so when you see it, it's obviously satisfying if you can get guys to do that, okay? Come back the next hour and talk about blitz stuff, okay?